Before we begin, don't forget to give this video a big like, leave a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our deep dives into hidden and controversial biblical mysteries. Now, let's embark on a journey that will challenge what many of us have been taught about the Bible, as we ask the powerful question, why is the Book of Jubilees not in the Bible? The Book of Jubilees, often called the Little Genesis, is one of the most fascinating and mysterious texts connected to biblical history. It claims to retell the events of Genesis and part of Exodus, but with details and revelations that we do not find in the standard biblical canon, written around the 2nd century BCE. This book expands upon the creation story, the angels, the covenant with Abraham, and even the role of Moses in receiving divine knowledge. But while it was revered by certain Jewish and Christian groups, especially in Ethiopia where it is still considered scripture in the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, it was rejected by both mainstream Judaism and most branches of Christianity. The question is why? What was so controversial about it? Was it too radical, too revealing, or perhaps too dangerous for religious authorities to accept? The answers are complex and layered, involving theology, politics, and the very struggle for control over sacred truth. The Book of Jubilees presents itself as a revelation given to Moses on Mount Sinai, dictating not just the laws but also the hidden order of history. Unlike Genesis, it structures time into cycles of jubilees, each lasting 49 years, suggesting a divine calendar that governed the destiny of humanity. This structured view of history made the book attractive to groups like the Essenes, a Jewish sect that lived around the Dead Sea and preserved similar writings in what we now know as the Dead Sea Scrolls. Yet, the very claim of secret revelation already put Jubilees on dangerous ground, because it presented knowledge that the religious establishment of the time could not easily control. Imagine being told that the official Genesis you were taught was incomplete, and that there was another version that revealed more details about angels, demons, and cosmic law. For ancient leaders trying to unify communities under one consistent narrative, this was a problem, and so Jubilees became a text of division, embraced by some as truth, rejected by others as heresy. One of the most controversial elements of Jubilees is its emphasis on angels and the Watchers, heavenly beings who interact with humanity in ways that the canonical Bible only hints at. In Jubilees, the fall of the Watchers and their corruption of humankind is spelled out with far more clarity. Echoing themes also found in the Book of Enoch, these ideas painted a picture of a cosmic battle between good and evil that went beyond the simple narratives many rabbis and church fathers wanted to emphasize. To some, it revealed too much, suggesting a hidden dimension to creation that raised more questions than answers. To others, it was a dangerous distraction from what they considered the true covenant with God. By omitting Jubilees from the canon, the religious authorities effectively silenced one of the loudest voices speaking about the spiritual war behind human history. But the silence only made the mystery greater. Another reason for the rejection of Jubilees was its strict legalism. The book insists on a very rigid observance of the law, including detailed calendars, festivals, and purity rules that differ from those of mainstream Judaism at the time. For example, Jubilees advocates a solar calendar of 364 days, instead of the lunar-based calendar used by most Jewish groups. This seemingly small difference had massive implications for worship, festivals, and the unity of religious communities. The leaders who embraced the lunar calendar saw Jubilees as a direct threat to their authority, because if the people followed the Jubilees system, the entire rhythm of their religious life would change. In essence, it challenged not just theology but power. And as history shows, when religious power is challenged, books are often banned. Despite its rejection by most, Jubilees continued to live in hidden circles. Early Christian writers knew of it, some even quoted it, but as the New Testament canon began to solidify, the Church Fathers avoided it. Why? Because it painted a picture of Jesus' world that didn't align neatly with their developing theology. The book's focus on angels, its obsession with law, and its apocalyptic undertones made it more compatible with sects that the mainstream church labeled as heretical. Still, in Ethiopia, the situation was different. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church not only preserved Jubilees, but considered it sacred scripture. To this day, their Bible contains it alongside the Book of Enoch and other writings that the Western canon rejected. This shows us something profound. What is considered the Bible depends on who you ask. What one church rejects as heresy, another embraces as truth. As we reflect on this, we must consider the broader question: who decides what belongs in the Bible? Was it God, directly, or was it councils of men, each with their own politics and agendas? The story of Jubilees reveals that canon was not simply a spiritual decision, but also a political one. Throughout history, councils like the Council of Jamnia for Judaism, and the various Christian councils such as Nicaea and Laodicea debated which books to include. Often, the criteria weren't just about divine inspiration but about unity, control, and the fight against rival interpretations. In that context, Jubilees was simply too controversial to survive. But if the goal was to bury it, history had other plans. The discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls in the 20th century brought Jubilees back into the spotlight, proving it had once been widely read and respected. Now, we must ask ourselves, what does Jubilees actually teach that could still matter today? Its vision of history as cycles, its insistence on law, and its detailed angelology all challenge modern readers to reconsider the simplicity of the biblical narrative. It forces us to see that the Bible we hold today is not the only version of the story that once existed. There were competing versions, lost traditions, and suppressed truths. And this realization can be both liberating and unsettling. If Jubilees had been included in the Bible, our understanding of sin, angels, and even salvation might look very different. Imagine growing up in a Christian world where the Battle of the Watchers was common knowledge, where festivals were calculated by a solar calendar, and where Moses' revelation included secrets of the universe never told in Genesis. That would be a radically different faith. The omission of Jubilees reminds us that Scripture is not just a divine gift, but also a curated library, chosen by men with power. And perhaps that is the greatest truth we can take away, that what was left out of the Bible may be just as important as what was left in. The Book of Jubilees continues to whisper from the margins of history, asking us to question, to seek, and to never settle for the easy answers. And maybe that is why it was excluded, because it demanded too much curiosity, too much independence of thought, and too much willingness to explore the mysteries that lie beyond the official narrative. So as you watch this video and reflect on what you've heard, ask yourself, what other books might have been silenced? What other truths remain hidden because they didn't fit the agenda of those in power? If the Book of Jubilees was not included in the Bible, was that truly because it lacked divine inspiration, or because it revealed too much about the spiritual reality of our world? That is a question only you can answer. And with that, we reach the end of our exploration. If you've stayed with me this far, I thank you deeply for your time and your open mind. This journey into the Book of Jubilees is just one of many we take into the lost and forbidden corners of biblical history, and there is always more to uncover. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave your thoughts in the comments below, and share this video with others who are seeking the truth about the hidden books of the Bible, because together, we can keep uncovering the mysteries that were meant to be forgotten.